Okay, good afternoon, guys. And once again, I welcome you in our India's Mac Admin meetups. This is December meetup. It's a working day and not a weekend. And still, I see you guys are joining the call. I'm very happy. And obviously, we have action-packed agenda as always. This month, we are going to obviously discuss about some introduction about myself. If you don't know me, we are going to talk about Apple updates. What are the new updates out from Apple? We will discuss about Champ updates. And the main topic for which we are going to cover today is Mac OS packaging. I would like to call out that one of our team member, Surajit, has step in one step ahead of us, and he has updated me that he would like to present in our meetup today. So Surajit, thanks for all your efforts for preparing the slide deck for today's meeting and helping each one of us knowing the basic or the advanced information around how to package for Mac device and what are the best practices which we need to follow. And lastly, as announced, it's a vacation period. I got a good jam swag from Jamf to be provided to one of the lucky guy. I don't know it will be. There would be a raffle in the end, and whoever names is Flash, I will contact him or her personally, and then we will ship this swag to them. Okay, let's start. Let's talk about Apple updates. I think as of today, the latest version which we are aware of when it comes to iOS and iPad OS is version 16.2. I've upgraded my iOS device, iPad OS device. There's no issue. Very good and important news is this particular version is bringing 5G support for our iOS devices. Okay, so when you install it, after that you need to go to your mobile data setting, your roaming setting, and you can switch from 4G network to 5G manual or 5G auto network, and it gives an immense speed. I have tested the speed test after going to 5G. I got around 230 Mbps speed. That means working from home is better than working from office because we don't get that speed. So that's a good debating aspect if you like to work from home. Second and most important stuff is about Mac OS version 13.1. Apple has released Ventura 13.1 out, a most awaited version, which is fixing a big security issues. There were many security application like Sophos, which were impacted like Malwarebyte. Um, I'm not sure about McAfee, but which were impacted with a bug which was present in macOS Ventura 13.0 and 13.01, and Apple has now fixed that issue in 13.1. I always recommend that if you want to release Ventura in your organization, you should either release um, ASAP if your management is asking. But the best practice and recommendation says that till the time you have dot one of a new major OS, you should not go to the latest OS because it's always buggy. Although the developer are testing this since June till October and November, but still when you release it to global audience, Apple received many more bug issues and Apple start to fix them. So if you have not yet went to Ventura, this is the right time. You may release Ventura now because 13.1 is out there. We also have a small URL on this slide. So if you want to understand what all security bug has been fixed or mitigated, or what are the new configuration which has been modified or changed, you can go to this URL. You will find information about iOS, iPad OS, Mac OS, even TV OS and stuff. But we are focusing on iOS, iPad OS, and Mac OS. With that, this is the time where I will ask maybe any one of you if they are aware of any issues with Mac OS 13.1 or iOS, iPad OS 16.2. This is the time to call out. Perfect. The next slide is about JAMP update. I think there is no new JAMP binary which has been released since our last discussion. We are still on 10.42.1, which brings us app installer enhancement, configuration profile for managed login items, declarative device management. I have not explored anything new, but there was no new binary release after 10.42. So if you have missed my previous sessions, where I have discussed in detail about macOS Ventura, about deferrals, about mask commands, about champ binaries and the features which are in this slide. You may always go to my YouTube channel, which is India Mac Admins. Go to that channel and see all my recorded videos there. With that, I would like to announce that we have now created a new Telegram group with the name India's Mac Admin. This Telegram group is majorly focused on Mac admins monthly meetup. This is the group where you guys can come and tell us which session you want to know. Maybe people can come and say, hey, we need to see a demo on Nudge. We need to see a demo. How can we configure Superman? How can we create a good script? What are the best practices of scripts? You know, so if you want to see a demo on any particular topic, this is the time where you can scan this QR code and you join our Telegram group and call out that, okay, we need this session, and me and my entire team along with you can work together to prepare a presentation, and in one of our monthly meetup, we can discuss that. So it is not my channel group, it is our group. And if any one of us wants to present one of the topic in futures monthly meetup, they can also uh, discuss the same with me in the Telegram group here. With that, we are going to talk about our main agenda for today. The main agenda is about macOS packaging. And I would like to thank Surajit, who has taken the initiative and who has called out that he would like to present in one of our monthly meetup. So I'm going to stop my sharing. Over to you, Surajit. And
Thanks,
as
Sam.
always, yeah, I'm not able to find my mouse cursor. Oops, one moment.
It happens sometimes. Don't worry. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Sam, for the introduction. And as you all are aware, on this session, we wanted to discuss about the basics of macOS packaging. So with this, I'll start sharing my screen. Just a moment.
Are you able to share your screen?
1 minute. It's showing. Okay, now I think it should be fine. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this is the first session for the macOS application packaging, and this is I would consider this or say this as the basic session. In future, if we find more interest, we may conduct another session with more details. So in this session, we will discuss about the agenda. That's this is the agenda of this meetup. So first, we will discuss on what application packaging is, what are the different format that exists, some different tools that we used as a Mac admin for packaging, and some best practices, as well as some additional information about scripts, how to use them, or some advanced feature of packaging. So with that, let's start. So firstly, what is application packaging? So macOS application packaging is processing the application files, directory, that may contain the binaries of the application, the command, scripts, configuration, and any other software component that the software needs, which defines where and how the product is installed or how it runs. And an application package with a standardized structure, which stores the executable code or binary, and its resources is called a bundle or an application bundle, app bundle. Next, what can be packaged? So the simple answer is we can package payloads and scripts. Now, generally a payload file contains different application binaries, which are responsible or required by the application to run or to function, some configurations which are used by the application, and most importantly, the metadata of those files or binaries which defines the ownership or the privileges of the different payload components for that package. And scripts, we have more details about that. We'll announce about the scripts, but most commonly used scripts by Mac admins are pre-install and post-install scripts. And post-install scripts, these two type of scripts can be used in flat packages. We have different type of packages that we'll also be discussing after or on the next slides. Next, on the next slide, we wanted to discuss about the format, the different application or packaging formats that exist for Mac OS. The most common formats are disk image, Apple disk image, or a secure disk image. This is a secure or a digital reconstruction of a physical disk structure, and it could contain any of the following packages. Those are defined below, like the MPKG, PKG, and zip. And it's basically a secure disk image. Next type is the PKG file. This is the most common format that we use or we see made available by different application vendor for us to use, or whenever we download. Most common format is PKG. This PKG file, it contains a payload, basically a folder structure, and an installation scripts and resources. The scripts which will define what to do with those resources and how the installation will happen. Next one is meta package or .mpkg file. This meta package file is usually classified as a compressed file. This is a package meta file. It's integrated with compression specification, which is proprietary to Apple. And most commonly, this is used during software update delivery. So the software update we get or the macOS update we get, these files are mostly in .mpkg format, which are compressed. Third, and another common executable format, another common application format, that's .app. Technically, this is just a folder, and we place it on applications folder, but this is also an app bundle. So it contains a standardized structure of storing the executable code and its associated resources, which can also called bundle or app bundle, as I was saying. And if you want to see the content of any app file, you can simply right click on that file and select show package contents. You'll be able to see the contents of it. And there are two more, I'd say not so common, but we still see there are some applications which are being delivered as .zip or .tar. These two are file archives or compressed file, and this can be used to distribute different application or files. Okay, let's move into the next slide. These are some useful tools that we use for macOS packaging. Jamf Composer being the most common one that we use for application packaging, and it allows you to build, edit a package of software, any application, preference files, or any documents. We can build any DMG file of an operating system using Jamf Composer. Well, it's required whenever we are deploying a new version of Mac OS. We can build the DMG, upload it on our Jamf. This is specific to Jamf I'm talking about. We can upload to Jamf and then we can distribute it. We can also monitor installation of software packages using the snapshot feature of Jamf Composer. So Composer have a built-in feature called snapshot. We can enable that, monitor different changes on file system, and take another snapshot. Jamf Composer will automatically compare both the snapshot and show us the differences before and after. And from there, we can build a package or create a package from that. We can also edit the localization files using Jamf Composer. Next tool I want to talk about is packages. This is a very intuitive tool, and it's open source tool. You can use this to create projects or build different app installer packages. Auto package is another open source tool, which is basically an automation framework for macOS software packaging and distribution as well. And it's oriented towards the task one would normally perform manually to prepare third-party software or mass deployment to any managed clients or many managed Apple devices. And the last one, but not the least, I think this is the most useful tool in my opinion. This is an application, this is suspicious package. And this is an application for inspecting macOS installer. So in my opinion, this is a very useful application which helps to review the contents of an installed PKG file that you might have downloaded from the internet or received from a vendor, and you don't know what the contents of those files. So it's better to better than blindly installing them to review the file, what it contains and what you will do. So suspicious package is an application which allows you to inspect the content of a package, its scripts, its configuration, whatever it will deliver, all the payloads, as well as whether the package is signed. And there is also smart feature which reviews a package for you, and it shows if there are any issues found. Suppose if a package is not signed or if it runs any suspicious script, it shows those information. So it's a very useful tool that is not used for packaging, but rather used to inspect the packages. With that, we'll dive a bit deeper into Jamf Composer, how we can use Jamf Composer to build different type of packages. Some are the very common way is to use drag and drop feature. So you can simply drag and drop a file with it within the Composer window, and it will automatically replicate the file structure along with the source files. You can build a PKG out of it, and you can deploy it to the endpoints. If you want to deploy any file or any application that needs to fill some files on user directory or on user level, you would say. In that case, we can use Composer as well, and we can fill in the user directories using this, and you can create a DMG. There is a feature that's called FUT, which stands for Fill User Templates, and it applies to any local user that is being created after the package is deployed. So if I deploy the package now and in future any user account is created, it will be filled and those user account will get those certain settings or preference we have set. The other option is fill existing home user directories. This applies to any local user account that already exists on the Mac when you are deploying the package, and it fills those directories. This could be useful in certain scenarios or certain applications where it needs to read or save some settings on user directories or read some license file from specific user directories. In those cases, this is a very handy tool that we can use. And a PKG file, on the other hand, is more flexible than DMG. It can be deployed by any third-party application. You can deploy it using or install it using command line, and it also supports the graphical user interface. So user can simply click on a PKG, double click on a PKG file, go through the installer steps, and they can complete the installation. Composer also supports the snapshot feature, which I was just talking a bit ago. So if you want to take a snapshot of an application, here is an example of Google Chrome. So if you want to set some home page or set some auto update settings for Google Chrome, you can do that simply by opening Composer, take a snapshot before you install the Google Chrome package. Then run the Google Chrome installer. Once the installation completes, open it, set your preferred home page, set the update settings that you want, and then quit Google Chrome, then take another snapshot. Jamf Composer will detect those changes on the installation as well as on the configuration files, whatever you made after that installation, and it will show. You can simply capture all those information. If required, you can modify some, and you can simply package it and distribute it. So that's a good feature that is built into Snapshot, that is built into Jamf Composer. Here are some details about advanced packaging. Again, these are all features. These features are all supported by the Jamf Composer, and maybe some third-party tools as well, where you can convert a package back to a source file. So you can simply drag and drop a file on Jamf or a existing PKG file on Jamf, and you can convert it back to its source files. You can see or edit the code that is there on that file, and if required, you can modify any binaries or any files on an existing PKG file, and then you can repackage it. It also allows you to editing the script. So whenever you are reviewing the files, if there is any pre-install or post-install script that is there on that file, you can edit those and you can modify it and repackage it. Another important aspect is that as per Apple App Notarization standard, if you need to distribute an app which is not on the Apple App Store or not signed by Apple, then you should repackage it and sign it with a valid developer certificate. And Apple generally notarize that application. And you can do the signing part with Jamf Composer. So Jamf Composer have a built-in option where you can use a valid developer certificate which is already on your system to sign the package that you are creating. These are some useful features. Next, we'll talk about some different types of installer packages or the categories that we have available. The most common is bundle style installer and flat installer packages. So bundle style installer packages is created as an macOS bundle that contains script, the description of the package, the requirements, and the behavior, how the app will behave during the installation or after the installation. And as a part of creating a bundle style package, you can define the scripts that will execute before and after the installation. The common example would be a .app file or app file. The next one is flat installer packages. This type of installer was first introduced in macOS 10.5, that is macOS Leopard, and as a single file. So it was .pkg format most commonly, and this type of installer package is created as an XAR or ZAR archive. I mean, ZAR archive, if you are familiar with Unix or Linux, ZAR archive is the open source format that is used in Linux. And same applies to macOS, it's used, and in this type of archive, it can contain scripts and description of the package, its requirements and behavior. And as I already said, that .pkg will be the most common example of this type of flat installer packages. And I wanted to call out that as an admin, most of us, or at least in my opinion, that I have used mostly flat packages so far. I didn't had a requirement so far that requires a bundle style installer packages, but most app developers who develops or create application for Mac or iOS, they create different bundle style installer packages and distribute those apps. You also see I have mentioned about pre-flight, pre-install, post-upgrade. What are these? So these are the scripts that I was talking on an initial slide about, that there are different type of scripts that are available that you can use with different type of application packaging or installer packages. As I said, bundle style installer packages are mostly used by developers, and it can contain 6 different categories or the 6 different type of script that you can use. First one is pre-flight. This is a script that this will run even before any file are being installed. Most commonly noticed example that I can give is an app can run this to determine whether it's running on a supported operating system even before the installer is run, or if there is any prerequisite, it needs any other application, whether that's installed or not. This can be checked with pre-flight. Next one is pre-install. The pre-install script are runs before any files are being installed. And of course, after the pre-flight script, if you have it defined, after the pre-flight script, the pre-install script will run. And this script is run only if the component is being installed for the first time. If it's a reinstallation or an upgrade, pre-installation script will not run. Next type is pre-upgrade. Now this type of script can be run before the files are being installed and after the pre-flight script, if one is defined, is installed. And this only runs if the components or the file or I'd say the application is being installed previously. So mostly in cases of upgrade, if any application supports upgrade on an existing installer, we'll see the pre-upgrade script is being used on those type of installers. Now coming to the post-install part. So after post-install or after the installation, these three type of scripts. Oh, sorry, I want to add another thing that's for this pre-install scripts, all these three type of pre-flight, pre-install, and pre-upgrade script. The return code. So I think we all are familiar that a script will return with certain exit code. That's exit 0 or exit 1. So 0 being success and 1 being failure. So if any one of those scripts, these three scripts, if they do not return exit status of 0 or value of 0, the installer will cancel the installation. So the installation will not even begin. It will simply cancel and abort the installation even before it starts. Next is the post installation script. This type of installation script will run only if there are files that have already been installed before and the post-flight and before the post-flight script, this will run. So point to note that post-install script, there is an order that all the script will run. So post-install script will always run before the post-flight script. And it will only run if the components is being installed for the first time. Similarly with post upgrade, the post upgrade script is done after files have been installed and before the post flight script. Again, there is an order how the script runs. If the script is run only if the component has been previously installed. And finally, the last one, that's post flight. The post flight script is run after the files have been installed. So that will be the last check that is performed by installer to ensure that all the components are installed properly and done. And again, for this type of post installation script, post install, post upgrade, post flight, if the script does not return an exit status of 0, the installer will declare it as a failed installation. So in this case, the installation will start, but it will not cancel. It will show as failed if the exit status is not 0. With this, I'll go to the next type. That's the flat installer packages. So on flat installer, it's quite simple. And as I said, I mean, as a Mac admin, this is the most common type of installer that I use because what I have seen so far, it covers all of our requirements that we have. And it contains two types of scripts: pre-install script. This script run before any file is being installed or are being installed. And it can be used to check the OS version for version compatibility or to prepare certain directories if we need to place certain files during the installation. Before that, we can use the pre-install script to create those directories, set the permission and all. The next one is post-install. The post-install script is run after the files are installed. This can be used to invoke an installer that is delivered by a payload. And it can also be used to open an application as an user. So if there is a requirement for an application, it must run as a user. We can define that in post-install script. So on the first run, it will always open the application as an user. A common example would be, I think you guys are familiar with Zscaler. So that needs to be run as a user. We can use it to open the Zscaler app as an user so that it can open and register that app. And there are a few things to keep in mind for this both pre and post install script for flat packages, that if the script does not return the status of 0, the installer will declare this as a failed installation. And as I was mentioning, that the scripts that I have mentioned, it's in specific order. It's in the same order macOS will execute, or an installer will execute the scripts. That we'll move to the next slide. What are some best practices of macOS application packaging? These following recommendations apply to the flat package. That's the most common format that I have been discussing so far on this presentation. That's PKG format, and this is the most recommended format for providing both the users and enterprise-friendly application as an enterprise-friendly application installer, that we can say. First one is all payload should be self-contained. So this recommendation applies to this recommendation, this is recommended, I would say, that the application installer should contain all the necessary contents within itself to fully install the application without the need to download the resources from an external source. So if there is any application which needs some external if it has some dependencies, it should be self-contained within that installer package. As an example, if SAP GUI needs Java, it should be self-contained within that package, so that the installer there shouldn't be a need for the installer to go to internet, download the package, and then continue the installation. This improves the chance of successful installation. And of course, you will have more control over the contents or the components of the installer that are being installed during the installation, because getting a content from external sources during an installation may lead to a situation where you may end up downloading some unwanted software. That's the first and foremost, I would say it's the best practice. The second one is no user interaction required. If your application during the installation, if the application is prompts for a user input, there should be a mechanism which should support the unattended installation. There are certain applications which may ask that where you want to store certain files, or if you have to create certain shortcuts or not. Those options should be predetermined. If not predetermined, the installer should support an unattended mode where it can be defined by a command line. So while deploying this application using an MDM solution or deploying remotely, you can use this command to run that installer without a user interaction. The next one is executable from the login window. The installer must be executable from the login window, because if you are deploying an application and user have locked the computer, left it unattended, the installer will stuck. To avoid such a scenario, we must ensure that it's not dependent on any user being logged in, and it should be executable from the login window, and it's not dependent on user login. The next one is it should not require any custom installation step. If the installer provides a suite of tools like or installer choices. So if you're installing a component, a common example I can give that I have seen is for Cisco AnyConnect. When you are installing that application, it shows you multiple options which components you want to install. If you have that option, you cannot deploy it automatically. There are ways that Cisco AnyConnect supports as well. You can use installer choices to define which components you want to install. So you should have an option which will not require custom installation steps. By this, what I mean, either you should have an option to define which components you want to install so that the installer doesn't halt or gets stuck during the installation. This should allow you to deploy any packages remotely. And the last one is, or I'd say it's towards the script that use modern script and shells. We all know that Python 2.3 and lower is already deprecated, and Apple have also removed it back in I think 12.3 on Monterey. So whenever we are building any packages, or we must use the modern script the shell libraries that is defined by Apple to ensure that all the commands that we are using or the script that you're using, it supports the upcoming version as well as the future releases. With this, we'll go to the next slide. And Salim, with this is the end of my presentation. I'd like to hand it over to you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Surajit. First of all, it's very important to thank you because it's not easy from the busy schedule, taking out some time, preparing a presentation, and giving a presentation to our Mac community over here. So I would like to thank you for that. And I will also like to thank you for your content. I have seen few stuff which you have covered here. For example, I have seen on Jamp Nation there are many Mac admins who are saying, how can we manage Google Chrome? How can we set the home page? And you have rightly picked that if you use the Composer snapshot feature, you know you can take a snapshot on a fresh virtual machine or a fresh non-production device, take a snapshot, install Google Chrome, launch Google Chrome, configure all the settings which you need, close Google Chrome and capture the second snapshot, which will give you a robust package which all your requirement. That's an amazing pick which you did. um, I also like the way you have presented from basic going to advanced. I'm sure this was the first presentation on basic macOS packaging. We will take a poll in our separately in our group if someone wants to need more advanced packaging, or someone wants to see some practical sessions. Maybe we will take a poll, and if yes, then maybe in future you can come up with some practical example where you can show them some practical how can you do it. You can also show them what are flat packages, how will you see, or how can you compare if it is a bundle package or if it is a flat package. But great efforts. Thank you very much, Surajit, for that.
You're welcome. And definitely, if there we see more interest from the community on this in future, we can come up with more detailed presentation or more detailed sessions.
Yeah, with
Thanks,
that,
Sam.
I'll take over the presentation. Give me 1 minute, and I'll call out that after completion of my slides, we can open up for question and answer. Where if you guys have any questions on packaging, you can feel free to ask. So let me finish all my slide, and then we'll open up for questions and answers. Okay, with that, I'm sharing my screen. My screen, I have clearly opened my entire desktop now, because for some reason if I keep it in presentation mode, my cursor is going missing. It's a keynote problem. Okay, with that, we are going to our next session, and which is very important session because it's year end, it's Christmas, it is vacation, and that's where we have a jam swag. A lucky winner out here will get a champ official swag. And for that, I have created a raffle. So this is the raffle where I have entered your names. And I don't know who is going to win this, but I'm sure you guys are excited. I am as well. So let's start. Only one winner will get a official jam swag. 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Yes. Who is the lucky one?
Abdul.
Abdul, yay! So probably
Congratulations,
Abdul,
buddy.
Thank you so
Congratulations,
much.
congratulations,
Abdul.
Abdul.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
so I will connect with you separately. How can we send you this official jam swag which I have with me? But lots and lots of congratulations and thanks for joining. With that, I present my last slide that if you have still not joined my India's Mac admin community on Champ Nation, you can scan this QR code, and we have an official India Mac admin community on Champ Nation hosted by Champ for us. You can always join this. This is where you will always get a notification and intimation from my end that we have scheduled an event, and that's where we can go ahead and discuss about what is the next event, when is the next event, and how can you join this meetup. Okay,
Sam, one quick question regarding this Jamf admin community in the Jamf part. So, see, when we were able to go there, no, we don't have an join option. I guess we might need only admins can do that.
Good question, Vanu. So when you go to that link, you need to sign in to Jamp Nation with your account. After you sign in, you will have an option to join. So without signing in, you cannot join. So please sign in, scan it again, and you will be able to join the community. And I have also shared the Telegram group. You can join that. This
Mhm.
recording will be published within 48 hours in YouTube channel. Okay, and the link will be shared to you guys in the groups, so you guys can again review this recording, and feel free to reach me on Champ Nation, feel free to reach me on Telegram groups. I would like to thank each one of you to join this call. With that, thank you very much.